Hi, thanks for joining me today for this summer workshop, which is a blend of meditative visualization, breathwork, Hatha Yoga, and painting, all focused on metamorphosis. So we're going to let the butterfly, the natural master of transformation, be our guide today. And this practice is designed to harness and celebrate fiery, warm energy. But this solstice, which is the longest day of the year, is unique in that it is also a solar eclipse and a new moon. So we have this interesting balance of energies today. And before we get started, I want you to consider a few things as you move through these practices. First, I want you to think about the balance between light and dark. Society at large right now is doing the work of transforming a lot of pain, a lot of illness, a lot of systemic oppression, racism, and violence. And we're going to need all of our balanced strength and energy in order to accomplish this transformation, not only within ourselves, but in society at large and for our future generations. And then number two, I want you to remember to listen to your body, especially during the yoga. You are your own best authority on what is going to be safe for your body. And these practices are really just designed to help you access that inner wisdom. So with that, we'll get started first with the meditation, then the yoga, and then the painting. Let's begin.
This meditation is designed to help you activate your breath, body, and mind to harness powerful solar energy and discover an intention to carry you through the fiery summer season. We will use the transformative imagery of a butterfly as our guide. Begin by sitting or laying down comfortably on the floor or in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. Close your eyes and inhale deeply through your nose. And exhale through your nose. Again, inhale deeply through your nose and hold it in for a moment as you feel the air fill your lungs. And exhale through your nose. Inhale again through your nose, into your lungs, all the way into your abdomen. Exhale through your nose. Now inhale through your nose, all the way through your lungs, abdomen, and pelvic bowl. And exhale. Continue breathing through your nose into your spacious center, imagining your breath as a golden light that is bright and cleansing. Each breath creates more space, more clarity, and more relaxation. Bring awareness to your heart as you breathe, thanking it for the work it does to flood your body with fresh oxygen. Now move your awareness below your heart into your solar plexus, or powerful center. Feel your strong sense of self, your power to create change, your shining strength, your passion, and your self-confidence. As you breathe deeply, imagine you are enclosed in a dark, tight chrysalis, just like a butterfly. You have spent a lot of time turned inward in isolation, doing the quiet and sometimes painful work of inner metamorphosis. But now it is time to complete this phase of transformation and emerge from the darkness and shine as a more fully expressed being. Your growth has created a small opening in your chrysalis, and you see a glimmer of sunlight enter the darkness. On the dark, silky walls of your chrysalis, you notice a single word beginning to take shape. It begins to glow more bright and more clear as you watch it, as if the letters are made of softly glowing fire. This word represents the key to your current transformation and will serve as an intention to carry you through the summer as you shine brightly and enjoy the gifts of the season. See this word clearly and sear it into your memory so that you can access it at any time. You trust that this word is a gift from your highest self to help you evolve and remember that you are a priceless being who is loved beyond all reason. With this word as your anchor, you begin to squeeze your way out of your chrysalis. As you breathe, each breath brings you further and further into the light of the sun, very slowly at first, and then more rapidly. The strength of your will, passion, and desire to grow is what has propelled you outward. The sun grows brighter and brighter with each breath as you emerge, enveloping you in a blazing warmth. You begin to notice you have wings, though you can't yet see the colors, patterns, and size they will take. Before these new wings are able to carry you, you must pump your life force into them from the fiery center in your solar plexus and abdomen. To do this, we will use Kapalabhati fire breathing to strengthen your core and carry this vitality all the way to the tips of your wings. This is done by forcefully breathing out of your nose as you pull your abdomen in. The exhale is quick, active, and explosive, and the inhale is passive, just like you're blowing out a row of many candles with your nose. And it sounds like this. You can place your hand on your abdomen so you can feel it powerfully move in and out with your breath. Take a deep breath, and we'll begin our first round. Take a deep breath and hold it in. And release. And we'll do one more round. Inhale deeply and begin. Take a deep breath and hold it. Release your breath and allow it to move in and out naturally, feeling the circulating warmth throughout your body, remembering your transformative intention, and feeling gratitude to yourself for taking the time to make this inner connection. Open your eyes and return to the room you're sitting in. This now concludes our meditation. Now we're going to move on to the yoga portion of this workshop. We're going to do some Hatha Yoga for warmth and confidence. So if you haven't already, go ahead and roll out your mat and take a comfortable seat at the front of your mat. If you have a blanket you want to sit on, go ahead and grab that. And as always, throughout this practice, if you need a break, feel free to take a rest in child's pose and listen to your body. Begin by raising your arms overhead, and exhale, bring your hands to your heart. And bring to mind the intention that you found in your meditation. Continue breathing in and out, focusing on this intention. Now inhale, raise your arms overhead and begin to roll your wrists in one direction and then the other. In your next exhale, turn toward the right, using the strength of your internal core muscles. Return to the center, and exhale, turn to the left, feeling all these muscles in your core. Return to center and fold forward, reaching your arms out on the floor ahead of you. Breathe into your hips. Walk your hands over to the right. Now walk your hands over to the left, continuing your deep breaths. Now return your hands to the center. Inhale with your arms up. And now fold over to your right side, stretching your left arm far over your head. Feel that long stretch in your torso. Return to the center and stretch over to the left side. You can look up if it feels good for your neck. Inhale, return to the center, and clasp your hands behind your back, stretching them behind you. Now bring them over to your right side and begin to roll your neck very slowly. Inhale, ear to your shoulder. Exhale, ear to your other shoulder. One more roll in this direction. Now reverse, roll your neck the other way. Breathing slowly and evenly. Having your hands clasped allows you to feel all the interesting little muscles in your back and shoulders and neck that we don't generally pay attention to. Now stretch your arms behind you and bring them to the other side, to your left side. And begin to roll your neck in the other direction, slowly breathing in and out. Draw your left elbow back towards the wall behind you and notice where there's any tension in your neck, in your shoulders, or your back. Now switch directions and roll your head and the other way. Always being careful and aware of what feels good to your body. Now raise your arms overhead, inhaling. Exhale, drop them to your knees. And with your arms in this neutral position, begin to roll your neck again. First toward the right. Inhaling and exhaling. Evenly and deeply. Now reverse it and roll your head toward the left. Constrict the back of your throat when you're breathing. And this creates more warmth in your body. It should make a slight audible sound. And this is called ujjayi breathing. Now begin to roll your shoulders backwards. And roll them forwards 3 times. And now come to your back on the mat. Inhale, reach your arms overhead. Just kidding. Adjust yourself if you're running into your wall. Now inhale, reach your arms overhead, and exhale, bring them down to your side. Pretend that you're holding the sun between your hands. Inhale again, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, return them to your side. Now add your hips. Raise your arms overhead and lift into a gentle bridge. Exhale, return your arms to your side and lower your hips. Inhale, raise your arms and lift your hips. Exhale, lower your arms and your hips at the same time. One more. Inhale, arms overhead, gentle bridge. Exhale, setting that sun down right next to your hips. Now stretch both feet straight up toward the ceiling. Continuing your breathing, we're going to start to engage our core. Now drop your right foot toward the ground, and right before it touches, bring it back up. Now drop your left foot toward the ground. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale, drop your right foot toward the ground. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale, drop your left foot toward the ground. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale, drop your right foot. Bring it back to center. Exhale, drop your left foot. Inhale, back to center. Now slowly, slowly, let your legs come down to the floor, engaging your core. And rest on your back. Now bend your knees, and you can roll over to your right side and come up into a seated position. And then come onto your hands and knees into a tabletop position with your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. And do cat-cow. Inhale, lift your eyes. Exhale, draw your belly in. Inhale, drop your belly and lift your eyes. Exhale, draw your belly in. Inhale, lift your hips and eyes. Exhale, draw your core in. Inhale, lift your hips and eyes. And come to a neutral spine and lift your right leg behind you and your left arm in front of you. We're going to do a similar action by drawing our elbows to our knees. Inhale, stretch back out. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, stretch back out. Exhale, elbow to knee. And return to neutral. Now stretch your left foot behind you and your right foot in front of you. And inhale, draw your knee to your elbow. Exhale, stretch it back out. Actually, exhale, draw your elbow to your knee. Inhale, stretch it back out. Exhale, draw your elbow to your knee. And then come to neutral. Now stretch your right arm up toward the ceiling and then bring it under your left arm and lay your shoulder down on the mat. To twist your spine and stretch out your shoulder. Breathe into your shoulder wherever it feels tight. Now return your hands to the mat. Stretch your left arm up toward the ceiling and then bring it through underneath your right arm. Stretch out your shoulder. You can bring your right arm behind your back or loop it onto your leg, wherever it fits. Breathe deeply. Now return to your hands and come up into your first downward dog. Bend one knee and then the other. Move it around. You can twist back and forth. Just going to ease into our first down dog. Breathe deeply. Press weight into all 5 fingers and toes. Continue inhaling and exhaling. Now inhale, lift your right leg and bend your knee to open your hip. Circle that knee around. Now circle it in the other direction. And step your foot up between your hands and come up into a lunge. Reach your arms overhead. Now drop your arms to your sides and twist open toward your right, using those core muscles. Now return to the center, raise your arms, and bring your hands to your heart. Hook your left elbow over your right knee and use that elbow to open up even more toward the right. Now drop your hands to the mat, come back into plank pose, and with your knees up or down, slowly lower all the way to the mat. And lift your chest, a small cobra pose. And come back down to the mat, tuck your toes under, lift straight up into plank, and then come into downward dog. Inhale your left leg up, bend your knee to open up your hip and circle it. Now circle it in the other direction. And step your foot up between your hands. Inhale, raise your arms into a high lunge. Now drop your hands out to the sides and twist open toward the left. Return toward the center. Bring your hands to your heart and hook your right elbow over your left knee and twist open. You can look up if it feels okay on your neck. Return your hands to the mat, come into plank and lower slowly to the floor. Lift your chest into a cobra. Continuing to breathe. Now tuck your toes and lift straight up into plank and then back into downward dog. Look up at the front of your mat, bend your knees, and step or hop to the front of your mat. Fold forward. Let your elbows, grab your elbows and let your neck hang down. You can sway gently side to side, whatever feels good for your body. And shake your head yes and no. Then slowly swing your way up to standing, letting your head come last. We will move into our sun salutations to honor the sun on this solstice day. So inhale, raise your arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, come up halfway with a flat back. Exhale, plant your hands and lower into Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take some deep breaths in this downward dog. Pressing your weight into the thumb and forefinger side of your hands. Look to the front of your mat, bend your knees and step or hop to the front. Inhale, raise halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, raise your arms overhead. And exhale, bring your hands to heart, Samastitahi. Inhale, raise your arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up halfway with a flat spine. Exhale, step or hop back into Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe deeply in your down dog. Look to the front of your mat and step or hop to the front. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up with your arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. One more like this. Inhale, raise your hands overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up halfway with a flat spine. Exhale, step or hop into Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Take 3 deep breaths, pressing your hips up to the ceiling. Look forward, bend your knees, step or hop to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up, raise your arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Now, come into a chair pose. Raise your arms. Exhale. Fold forward. Inhale. Come up halfway. Exhale. Step or hop into chaturanga. Inhale. Upward facing dog. Exhale. Downward facing dog. And right away, step your right foot up. Drop your back heel and raise your arms into warrior one. And come right back down. Ride your breath down. Plank chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And right away, step your left foot up between your hands. Raise your arms for warrior one. Exhale, ride your breath down to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take some deep breaths. We're building heat in the body. Building sunlight. Inhale, look to the front of your mat, step or hop forward. Raise your back halfway, fold forward. Now lower back into chair pose and come all the way up with your hands to your heart. Now chair pose. Fold forward, exhale. Inhale, come up halfway with a flat back. Exhale, step or hop into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right away, step your right foot up. Raise your arms into warrior one. Exhale, hands to mat, lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot forward, raise your arms. Exhale, step back and lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take 3 deep breaths, pressing your hips toward the ceiling, your palms and fingers into the mat. Look forward, step or hop to the front of your mat. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, raise your arms into a chair pose. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. And breathe. Inhale, raise your arms. And exhale, raise your left knee and step it back. Come into warrior one. Warrior two. Stretch your arms straight. Make sure your front foot is perpendicular to the front of your mat. Reverse your warrior. Now clasp your hands behind your back and fold forward, dropping your head toward your knee while you lift your hands toward the ceiling. Breathe. Drop your hands to your mat and bring your back heel up so you're in a low lunge. Raise your right arm and open toward the right. Stretch it out toward the ceiling. Now, come forward and lift your back leg. Once you feel balanced, bring your hands to your heart. You can stretch your arms out, even flap your butterfly wings if you would like to. Now drop your hands back to the mat. Bring your back foot back to the mat. And wiggle your right foot over. Bring your hands inside of your right foot and come into a lizard pose. You can leave your left leg up or drop that knee down onto the mat. Breathe into your hips, your legs. Be sure your knee is aligned with your foot. If your foot is poking outward. Make sure your knee is going in the same direction. Now straighten your right leg, flexing your foot, and fold over that leg. If you want to bend your leg a little bit, feel wherever you have the best stretch. Breathe into your hamstrings. Now, raise back up into Warrior Two and pivot in the other direction. So your left foot is pointing forward and your right foot is parallel with the mat. Now drop your left hand and reverse your warrior. Come back up, clasp your hands behind your back, and fold forward, dropping your head towards your left knee and lifting your clasped hands towards the ceiling. Continue breathing deeply. Now drop your hands to the mat and raise your left arm, twisting open toward the left. Make sure you've spun the back foot so the heel is up. Now bring all your weight onto your left foot and raise your right foot into the air. Bring your hands to your heart. If you want to, you can stretch your arms out to the side and flap your wings. If you fall out of the pose, just come back into it. Take a rest. Everyone's balance is different from day to day. It was much more shaky on this side. Come back down to the mat and bring your hands on the inside of your left foot. And come into lizard pose, breathing into your hips. Now straighten your left leg and fold over your front leg, breathing into your hamstrings. Bend that left leg again and come up into Warrior Two. Now straighten your leg, come to center. Clasp your hands behind your back and fold forward, letting your neck relax toward the floor, feeling your shoulders loosen. Now drop your hands to the mat, walk them over, grab your right foot with your left hand and stretch your right arm up toward the ceiling for a nice twist. Now walk to the other side, grabbing your left foot with your right hand. Stretch your left arm up toward the ceiling. Drop both hands back toward the mat. And come up with a flat back. Inhale and hop your feet together. And return to the front of your mat. Inhale, raise your arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up halfway with a flat spine. Exhale, step or hop into plank pose. And slowly lower all the way to the mat. Stretch your arms out behind you, clasp them if you like, and lift your feet off the ground, raising your chest into locust pose. Release and rest a moment. Drop your head onto the mat. Inhale. You can grab your feet with your hands and lift up to Dhanurasana. Letting the force from your hands on your feet pull you up. Now return your hands to the mat, tuck your feet, and lift up into plank and back into one more downward dog. Breathe deeply. Look to the front and step or hop to the front of your mat. Come to a seated position. Bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees fall open to Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose. You can experiment here, bringing your feet closer to your body or further away. See what feels most comfortable to you. Let the gravity on your knees open your hips little by little. You can bring your feet further away from you. Hold on to your feet with your hands and fold forward, letting your head drop towards your feet. Never matters how close your head gets to the mat. Come back up to seated, bend your knees, and cross your right foot over your left leg. For a gentle hip stretch. If you don't feel a stretch, you can walk your body closer to your foot. Switch sides. Cross your left foot over your right knee. And breathe into your hips. Release your feet. And slowly come down onto your back, giving your knees a quick hug. Cross your left leg over your right, and let your knees drop over to your right side. Spread your arms out and look over your left shoulder, breathing some space into your spine. Return your feet to the center. Cross your leg and let them drop over to the left, looking over your right shoulder. Breathe deeply. Bring your legs back to the center. Hug your knees to your chest one more time. Now stretch your legs out and let your feet fall open. Let your hands lay open, face up. Come into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Let all the muscles in your body relax. You'll feel your legs heavy against the floor. Feel your hips relax. Your torso, your shoulders and arms. Let your neck relax into the mat. Relax all the muscles of your face and release any control over your breathing. Now rest. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, circle your wrists and ankles. Slowly wake your body up. Take a long stretch with your hands overhead. And slowly and carefully roll over to your right side, pausing a minute to appreciate yourself for stretching and strengthening your body today. Remember the intention that you discovered. Slowly come up to a seated position. We'll close our yoga practice. Bring your hands to your forehead. May we see clearly. Hands to mouth. May we speak the truth with love. Hands to heart. May we live with our hearts full of gratitude. Namaste. Alright, so I've printed out this butterfly drawing, and to get the drawing onto the canvas, you can either just look at it and eyeball it, or you can take some charcoal or a pencil, a soft pencil, and rub it all over the back. This is a quick way to transfer a drawing to canvas. And also, if you don't have any canvas or paper that you want to paint in at home, you can also take this drawing and color it and make this a coloring activity. The important thing is just the energy and the intention that you put into the drawing. Almost done covering the spot. And stick that in the middle. And just trace the lines. You want to push fairly hard to get the charcoal to transfer. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is just all about enjoying the process of creating something. And I'm going to use a certain set of colored paints that I have, but you can certainly use whatever colors you feel drawn to or that you have on hand. Let's see if this is up. It's transferring.
It's important to remember that your drawing doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, looks like I got all the pieces that I need. And now we're going to take our intention word that you learned in your little butterfly meditation, and you're going to write it just all over your canvas. We're going to infuse that intention into this painting. And mine was passion. It's a very loaded word for me because I was always really stressed about, oh, what is my passion when I was younger, because I enjoyed doing so many different things, and I thought, I just have to pick one thing. How could I ever do that? I guess I'm just not a passionate person because I don't have a passion. So I'm happy that this is the word I found, so I can kind of get a new relationship with this word. And you can also write down any other words that remind you of your intention, anything else that you want to bring in. All right, now we can start painting. So I just have these acrylic paints. I have ochre yellow, crimson red, phthalo blue, and titanium white. These are the standard colors I usually have on hand, but you can use any color at all for this. This reference butterfly is a swallowtail butterfly. And those butterflies are usually yellow. I've seen black ones before too, but you can make your butterfly whatever you would like. I'm going to give a little more instruction on my process than if you did the springtime workshop with me. I wanted that one to be much more free-flowing and intuitive. But this one I've had some interest in people wanting to know how I do butterflies. So I'll talk through my progress and my process. But as always, please do your own thing, whatever you're feeling drawn to do. I am going to start with this big brush. I've gotten just some straight red color. And I'm diluting it a little bit with water just so for my first layer I can have it spread nice and easy. I am first going to go through and paint out because I usually do a pencil drawing, but I forgot that charcoal, you will lose your drawing if you paint right over charcoal, which I've forgotten about, so I'm just going to quickly outline this. Doesn't have to be anything too serious or precise. Those spots that were black, I'm just going to go ahead and make blue right now. Let's see if I can find my line. You may feel a lot of different emotions come up for you while you're painting. For example, me painting in front of the camera right now, this is a different process than I usually do, so it's made me feel nervous. I'm feeling right now very concerned about how this painting is going to turn out because I want it to, turn out somewhat decent. But I'm going to move right along through my feelings with the rest of you because the way that this looks is not the point of it at all. The point of this is just to, through the action of putting paint to canvas, to infuse my energy and my passion and my joy into it. This is putting energy behind the intention because you're using more senses. It's one thing to just sit and think about transformation you want to see happen in your life. And it's another thing to paint it out. I usually tone the entire canvas first with a solid color before I even do the drawing. For those of you who may follow my work on Instagram, I really like starting with a colored canvas because it takes away some of that intimidation that happens when you just start with a white canvas. That's why I always like to give a drawn design option, because for me at least, the drawing part has always been the most frustrating aspect of painting. So anyway, okay, got my blue on. I'm going to continue this red. It's interesting to see what's happening with this already, because nothing about this is what I had envisioned in my head so far when I was thinking about this painting beforehand and what I wanted to show you about it. So I'm just going to intuitively go along and let this butterfly be my guide. Some people like to paint really fast, and some people like to paint really slow. I would recommend, if you're the type of person who really wants to do very close detail work, if you're a perfectionist, try to do this faster and see what happens. Try to just really play and focus on the motion of your brush on the canvas, not what shapes or colors it's making. Now I'm getting just a very thin layer of red paint and mostly water, because I want to go over this area where my butterfly is, get rid of all the white canvas, but I don't want to lose the little blue outline that I just put. Well, I have this red. I'm just going to quickly lift this and do a bit on the bottom. This is definitely not a necessary part, but I find that if I don't do it now, it will never get done. I'm going to start adding some more color to this and in thicker paint. I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm just going to grab this yellow and add it onto the wet canvas. Sorry, my table is rattling. I hope it's not too distracting for everyone. I can move those. Still using a really big brush because I want to still keep this very loose. When I load up my paintbrush, I load it up on both sides, so when I go on the canvas, I can swipe it back and forth. Experiment with different strokes and different types of mark making. Once you really get into your painting groove, please feel free to just mute this video and go to town, turn on some music that you love. Anything that makes you feel bright. Creative. This is your time. I'm going to pick a smaller brush and start working on my butterfly. I'm going to start by mixing some of my yellow ochre with white. And lay it on pretty thick. So I want there to be some nice paint texture in the end. To mix this, I just grab a little bit of the yellow on my brush and a little bit of the white and just mix it right with the brush. Just loosely going between these shapes. Every painting, even if you've been painting for a long time, goes through an ugly phase. And I don't like calling it an ugly phase, but that's what it is. It's the phase where you just feel like this is not what I was hoping it would look like at all. And all that means is that you are in the middle of your painting, not at the end yet. And when you hit that phase, it brings up all sorts of feelings, or it can. Don't want to say for everyone, but it can bring up a lot of feelings of questioning your self-worth. And it's silly when you logically think about it, but it's a very common thing among so many artists that I've talked to. So just know if you're feeling really inadequate in this process, you're definitely not alone. And very seasoned artists go through those feelings probably most times that they paint. And when that feeling comes up, what I do is I just try to notice it and send it on its way. I don't beat myself up for then feeling stressed when I'm trying to paint and relax, because that's not productive either. Just acknowledge it, give it a little mental hug. And send it off. And don't forget to breathe. It's an important part of that. So why doesn't everyone, no matter what you're doing, just take a deep, huge breath? Oh, that's so much better. Now I'm just going over some of these places with a darker yellow. I like my intention paintings to be much more abstract and imprecise than anything else that I do. I always end up liking them a lot in the end because of the meaning that they have and what they remind me of. Don't be afraid to get huge dabs of paint on your brush. I think my find that if you paint with a bigger brush than you think you would want for a certain area, it keeps the painting loose and intuitive. I'm going to get a slightly smaller brush and go through, add some of the black patterns in. To get a dark color, I'm just going to mix my blue and my red together. It'll give me a dark purpley color, which is going to have to be black enough for me right now because I did not bring an actual black. Don't worry if things start blending together. If you have such thick pieces of paint that it's touching your new paints, that's part of the fun. See what happens. I am definitely not the best at talking while I paint or talking while I do anything really, so apologies if anyone was hoping for some really charismatic banter while we do this. I just hope you are all very focused on your intention and enjoying the process of this painting. I sure am. Butterfly wings often have a wavy edge or the appearance of a wavy edge because of a color change right at the tip. So I'm just adding some dabs to make that happen. Red. I like to go through and add a few of those little veins back in, not all of them. The veins are only used on a butterfly to pump the fluid from the abdomen into the wings right when they come out, and never again after that. I just read today. if I'm remembering correctly. I thought that was interesting. Just going to add a little bit of paint to the center of the body. Redefine the eyes. I'm going to get the smallest brush I have on hand to do some little antenna. You get the brush pretty wet with water and then dip it in the paint. Makes it easier to make a thin line if that's what you're after. And there we have it, a little solstice butterfly.